Check the mic and
All right,
make
so
sure it
the first
sound
one
right.
is duration of worlds. Do you think worlds, for it to be like, do you think it needs to be 7 days, 7 rounds, 6 rounds, 5? Do you think it needs to be more rounds than 4, essentially?
So this argument, I've gone back and forth on this one because it kind of drives me nuts, because this is where I'm at with Worlds is I don't my soul does not like the idea of a golf event being more than 4 rounds. I do not like it whatsoever. I think it's stupid. And I think like final 9s are dumb. Like I just don't like
we
them.
both agree there.
I like the idea of like changing up a format in the middle. Like, I don't know. It's weird. I don't like it. What I'll add to that is I think that the idea behind the extra rounds originally was probably to make sure that the best player won. And back in the day, there was very clearly best players. And that's the reason why you had Paul winning so many worlds, Climo winning so many worlds. They were clearly the best player. That's why you gave them that many rounds, they're going to win. These days, there really isn't clearly a best player. There is like so many guys that even if you gave them 8 rounds, it's going to change a lot who wins. Mm-hmm. Like there's so many good players now. So I think to that point, I think that point is null and void at this stage. So the other thing I'll add, the reason why I'm torn with this argument is the whole world title thing is weird. The idea that we have a world championships and there's nothing, and other sports do this, like other niche sports just like have a world title just because it's fun to have and it draws a crowd. But why do we have a world championship? Like, what does that actually mean? Like, I understand why disc golf started it back in the day, because they're like, hey, let's bring everybody together from the sport all together for one big event and have the world championship, because back then there wasn't a tour.
Everyone comes out of the woodworks.
Right. Let's get everybody together, world championship. Well, nowadays that's not the case. Now we have a tour, so when the world championship happens, it's fine that it's a major event, but like we're assigning this value to the title of world champion that really isn't deserved, because that event, you know, it can carry like majors. I think we all agree that like the whole reason majors are so tough to win is because there's that extra history, that extra pressure, and the field is always going to be at its strongest. Mm-hmm. So that's fine. Like, it's fine to have an event that's special for those reasons, but calling it a world title when there's nothing else different about it is odd. So like I think I've convinced myself, like, it's so like having a world champion is such a part of the tradition of disc golf that it's really tough to like just get rid of it. But I'm at the point now where like I think that if there's still going to be a world championship, it should probably be extra rounds just to make it different, or it should happen maybe biannually or every 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm. I think if we're going to continue having a world championship, there's no reason to just make it one of the majors. And frankly, a major that isn't even run as good as at least one of the other ones. So like that's the other weird thing. It's such a
weird one. It is such a weird one, because when you look at the two sports that are the closest to disc golf and how they run their majors, and that being golf and tennis, right? Yeah. You look at tennis, and tennis has the French Open, got to be able to play on clay. They have Wimbledon, got to be able to play on grass. And then they have the U.S. Open and the Australian Open, which are both hard surfaces. And the U.S. Open, you're playing at Arthur Ashe Stadium. You're basically in New York, essentially. Mm-hmm. And you have all that added, like, American kind of media and stuff. So there's that. And then the Australian Open's kind of like, it's the Australian Open. That's probably like the one that's like the smallest out of the four.
It is true. There's always one major that gets left behind.
When you look at disc golf,
The PGA, basically. The PGA.
Yeah, when you look at disc golf, and yeah, we can go through the PGA where you have Augusta. It's got obviously the rich history, and it's on that course, and you get the green jacket. You got the U.S. Open, which is basically always going to be the really hardest courses, playing with the hardest setups, and then you got the Open where you have to play link style golf. And you have to, most of the time, endure the elements, whether that be wind, cold, rain, whatever. So all three of those.
You got PGA.
And the PGA doesn't really know what they're doing. The problem is, I think what the PGA is and what the kind of Australian Open is what the World Championship is in disc golf, which it should be the exact opposite. Like USDGC, it's at Winthrop. Like the OB, the tough down the stretch, the history. That's cool. Champions Cup is brand new, so it's like, who knows? And then European Open, it's at the Beast over in European Open. You have to deal with going over, you have that. So you have like those two are pretty set in stone. And then like the World Championship, it's like, yeah, we just play at different courses. The setup isn't any different. The field isn't any different. Like there isn't like a thing that really stands out like a Wimbledon or like a US Open or whatever. And it's like, this is now the biggest one. Like that should be the biggest one, should be the one that like stands alone, that there is no kind of question. So that's where I think it is kind of weird. I think there definitely are things they can do outside of just making it longer to making the World Championship. I think the biannual thing, because eventually down the road, I know people are going to hate this take, but it is true. Eventually down the road, if disc golf continues to go on the path it's going, and granted, we kind of did like a big jump spike, and now we're just slowly growing. And I think it's just going to be a slow grow, and there's going to be a plateau. Disc golf, as much as you want to think it is not going to get bigger than golf. It won't. It is. No. It was created. No. Same thing as like pickleball is not going to get bigger than tennis. It's just not going to happen in our lifetime, at least. And it won't get close to the hockeys or the soccers or the baseballs or anything like that. It could get up there to a pretty high, like second tier sport, but it's never going to get this massive thing. But we still have so much growth to go to where I think like 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years from now, they're just kind of how like people do that with Climo with his world championships. I think you're going to see the same thing with the people that have won world championships in the 2010 to 2020 era, because you can't tell me right now in 5 years winning a world championship in 2025. Well, that's not 5 years, but winning a world championship in 2025 is a completely different ball game than winning in 2015. Completely different. And so you're going to have this kind of thing of where how the world championship was viewed in the 2010s and the 2000s isn't what it's viewed like now. And so that's where I don't think we need to have necessarily like, okay, well, we've been always doing it this way. Like, I think this is the perfect time to experiment, to do it biannually, to do it every 2 years, to make it really special, of where it's like, because I know some people are like, well, that's not fair. People, yada, yada, yada. I just think now's the time to do it, because 50 years from now, you can set that precedent. You can set that history now and make something really, really special. And I know that's probably bad. I know probably a lot of people are going to be annoyed with that. But we're so much in the infancy now of disc golf of where you can get away with this kind of stuff, of like changing it up and trying.
People don't look at disc golf in the correct window. They think like, oh, we've arrived, right? Well, no, it's not true. Like, literally anybody with a bunch of money could come around tomorrow, create a brand new tour, and if they had enough resources, they could get every single player to move to their tour in a snap of a fingers. Like, there could be the PDGA could be completely overthrown.
By some how did your rating update do, man? We didn't forget. Silas, what's your rating update, man? We forgot to talk about rating updates.
I didn't get it. I haven't played a sanctioned event.
Oh man,
who knows what Silas' rating is?
Well, I don't have a PDGA thing.
What happened to the road to 900, Silas?
He's an unsanctioned bad boy.
Yeah, I'm a rebel.
He's put that in your bio. That's funny.
No, but you're right. Like there is
anyway.
it would not be very
Like,
hard for all of a sudden the PDGA just to be absolutely obsolete in the Pro Tour.
All you have
In
to
the Pro
do,
Tour.
I mean, look at what just happened. Was happening to the PGA Tour right now. Like,
and they're so
and
established.
they've been around for hundreds of years. Like, it's not.
like-
It's hilarious to think that disc golf is just like settled in. You have to be willing to experiment. I think, like for instance, the Champions Cup. I think they did a great thing in creating a new major. Like, that was good. I think the Champions Cup, what they should do personally is they should be the wooded major. I think
that's a sick idea.
I think they should
like
play
that
wooded
idea.
courses, and they should have the other thing that they should do, and I think that Worlds should do something similar to this, is I think they should make and maybe even European Open should do something like this because there's a lot of good courses in Europe, is I think they need to establish a set of courses that
Like
are
a rotation.
that rotates. You know, U.S. Open's going back to Pebble Beach this year. You know, situations like that to where 20 years from now, no matter which course in the rotation you're at, there's familiarity, there's storylines associated with that course. There's certain players who have won at that course, that major. So I think that the Champions Cup should do that. I think they should, like, maybe Northwoods is a course they go to. Like, they should play wooded courses. That would be a cool, like, niche for them to have. The U.S. Open, I think there should be at least one major that has just its course. Right now, that's the USDGC. That won't be that way forever, but I think they're working on a replacement course for that. I don't know, but Worlds is so tricky because all it has is the title, and the title just carries so much weight in disc golf, and it's just like, how many years is it going to take for that weight to go down? Because, like, right now, and, like, it's funny. The funny thing, too, is you talk to a lot of disc golfers, even ones who haven't won world titles, and even these days they'll still say they would rather win a U.S. title just because of how difficult it is and the history with that event. Whereas, like, Worlds, other than the name world champion and, like, getting a disc that has your name on it, like, there's just so many weird incentives that come with winning a world title that it's like disc golf just has built this structure around the world champion. And it's super odd. Now, I'll say with James Conrad, I think this was the first year that, like, maybe the world title lost a little bit of sting. And I think that the other thing about the world title that was so bolstered was the fact that you had, like, you know, you had 4 straight years of Paul winning. So you basically, not only was it a big title, but it was like the fan favorite at that time, just kept winning it. So that created, like, this atmosphere around Worlds. But then, like, all of a sudden Greg Barsby wins, and, like, it kind of just, everybody just kind of, like, forgot about it a little bit. But then Ricky wins 2 in a row, and, like, everybody loves Rick. So, like, then it kind of gains momentum again. But, like, yeah, I just think it's just like this weird spot in disc golf. It's the only thing that feels like it's sticking around disc golf from the past that, like, just doesn't really have a place. And, like, as somebody who has watched disc golf for, like, the better part of a decade, like, I will still watch the World Championships this year, and it'll feel like a very big deal to me. But even in my mind, it's like the Christmas morning effect. Like, when you're young, like, Christmas is such a crazy event. Like, you're literally counting it down for months. And then as you get older, it slowly is like, oh, yeah, Christmas is here. That's great. But it's not quite the same effect. And, like, that's how I feel with Worlds, where, like, it's going to come up and I'm going to be, like, excited about it. But it's not going to have the same effect as it used to on me. Because, like, now every event with the Pro Tour feels feels so big that Worlds doesn't feel big anymore.
There isn't as much of a drastic difference between, and this is coming from someone that, you know, that just obviously jumped into the sport, and I know, like, that was a big topic that me and Hunter talked about at my first World Championship. And I think 5 years ago, 10 years ago, sure, it probably did feel very different.
Yeah.
But where the Disc Golf Pro Tour has stepped up and has done a great job at a lot of these Elite Series events, it just feels like another Elite Series event.
Everything I just said about Worlds, if the PDGA, like, all it would take is for the PDGA to say, okay, this is going to be the largest purse in the sport, and it's not even close. We're going to have a $500,000 purse, and we're going to play at the most pristine course you've ever seen. It's going to be treated so much differently. There's going to be, you know, player areas with tents and parking and all this. If they were just to go all out on the event, then there you go. That would solve the problem. Then you would have an event that's unlike any other. But as the standard continues to rise from all the other ones that are making a ton of money because of sponsorships, that is not really possible anymore. The PDGA is slowly going to become such a small, and this is the effect already in professional golf. Obviously the PGA Tour is where the money is. Not with the PGA of America. There's money there, but not the kind of money we're talking about. There's not television rights and that sort of thing. So what's going to happen is slowly the Pro Tour is going to get more money because that's where the marketing money and advertising is going, and the PDGA will get smaller. And now it's like, okay, why is the PDGA solely responsible for running this giant major that they don't really have the resources to put on an event that's even close to what the Pro Tour can do? So like that's where it gets even trickier.
It's more too just like the how much allocated resources do they want to put into it, right?
Yeah.
And like that's the key is like if they do a good job, then sure, keep doing it. But I think we got to be okay with it. We got to be okay if people don't do a good job of being like, okay, we need to find a solution here.
Yeah, it's the thing with Worlds too. It's so reliant on the host right now because like this year it's going to be in Emporia, so it's going to be great.
It's going to be it's going to be good.
Dynamic they're going to handle business because their reputation will be associated with the event, and so it'll probably be run really smoothly and it'll be awesome. But obviously you had some debacles last year with the practice area situation, and like it's just so dependent right now on like who they essentially give Worlds to
versus having like a Worlds like committee.
Like there needs to be a committee, yeah.
Like that.
So like
make sure everything runs well. Yeah,
I don't know, man. You know how I feel about the PDGA. They sketch me out.